So now I wanted to walk you through two apps that I've created using the Glide platform. So if you go down to templates and then you click on visit template store, AI playground, agency portal, attendance tracker, art generator, audio to text, if you've always dreamt of launching your very own SaaS business but lack the technical skills to do so, this is the perfect video for you. Today I'm going to share with you how you can create your dream SaaS business using something called no-code. No-code is a development approach that allows you to create software solutions without having to write traditional code. The no-code app builder that I'm going to walk through today is called Glide. I'm going to show you all of the features, what you can build, how to use it, and in addition, I'm also going to walk you through a couple of apps that I've built with the platform myself. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So when it comes to navigating Glide, there are three main parts to keep into consideration. You have your data, you have your layout, and you have your actions. So let's start off with the data section. You have different data sources that you can use with Glide. You have Glide tables, which is Glide's offering of their data source. You can also use Google Sheets, Airtable, PostgreSQL, MySQL, SQL Server, Cloud SQL, BigQuery. So you do have an option to use external data sources. I will mention that when you do go that route, sometimes you can experience a little bit of latency with Glide itself. So my recommendation if you are using Glide is to stick with Glide tables just because everything tends to work a lot more seamlessly. So as you can see here, you can create multiple tables and each table will store different information depending on what your software is. This is just the inventory management template that Glide offers out of box. You have orders. Let's say you need to keep track of that. You have your date and time type, quantity, registered by, you have your users, warehouse locations, and you can really customize this to whatever your liking is. And the really nice thing about this is that you can also, let's say you have your data already existing and you want to be able to use Glide tables and you don't want to start from scratch, you can import your data if it's in an Excel or CSV file or directly connect it to Google Sheets. The one caveat here that I'm still trying to figure out is if you have certain computed columns, you might not be able to directly import. So keep that piece in mind. Additionally, you can also export your data and select which columns you want. So let's say you want to be able to, down the line, you don't want to use Glide anymore and you want to take your data and move it somewhere else, you have the option to do that as well. So let me demonstrate to you how you can create a new table. You can either create a blank table, import a table, or sync it to an external data source, Google Sheets, Airtable. Depending on your plan, you'd also have access to the other data sources that I mentioned. For our case, I'm just going to do a blank table and it pre-populates with the name column, but let's say I wanted to create another column. It can be any of these options: image, Boolean, number. You can create a computed column. That would ultimately mean that there's some kind of formula that's reliant upon a few other conditions. You can have some of these AI integrations as well. You can also integrate all of these other features that you see here. And so the options are really endless and you can do a lot. So, let's say I just create a number, that's fine. That's my new column. And then obviously when you create your new row, it'll populate for everything or all of the columns that you have created for that specific data table. I wanted to start off with data because data is the source of everything, and without data, you ultimately don't have software. And so the really nice thing about Glide is that it ultimately allows you to take your data or import it or create it however you like and place a really nice UI on top of it to allow you to interact with it and really create something that's very functional and easy to use. Quick interruption, my name is Sophie. I go by Code by Sophie on all socials and I create tech content with the aim of democratizing tech and lowering the barrier of entry into tech. So if you support this mission, make sure you like and subscribe. Let's get into the next part of the video. So if we want to see how that data is used and interacted with, we can go over to our layout section. I will walk through what is going on here, and then I'll kind of show you a little bit how the data tables are integrated into this layout section. So starting at the top left, we have our navigation. So these are just the different pages that you see on the screen itself. And you also have your user profile, which would be the profile for the person that is currently logged in. Depending on which screen you're on, you will have your components. So each screen has different components. So for example, if we click on warehouses, we see that we have this map component, and we also have a collection here of the warehouse locations. You can add all of these different components depending on what you want. But let's say at the very bottom, you wanted to add in a contact, or you wanted to create an image, or you wanted to add in some notes, or you wanted to do something completely that's not offered here. You can create a web embed and then just kind of place your custom code or link to an outside site if that's something that you're interested in. And so just as an example, I can show you, let's say I create a contact form. It populated this at the very bottom. So the nice thing about Glide is a lot of these components kind of already come built out, and you just have to plug in the data where you want and make it work for you. Now coming over to the right side, this is kind of where you have the integration with the data sources or the data tables in the back end. So as you can see here, orders, if I click on orders, this is the order screen. And so if you're asking yourself, well, how does it know that these are the orders that are in this table here? Well, the source, you select which table you want it to populate, and then you can create the style that you want. So here we decided to go with a custom collection table, so it's being listed this way. It has your items data, what you want to show, your headers, the design of how you want it to populate. But if you were interested in changing that, you could easily do that with these options. I will mention that with Glide, you are limited to the styling and components that they already have. And it's nice in the sense that it allows you to quickly create something. But if you're looking for a little bit more customization, then this tool might be too limited for you. So keep that in mind. Another thing worth mentioning is that it is responsive. So whatever device you are using it on, whether that's your desktop, your iPad, or your cellular device, it will adjust to those dimensions. So we kind of went over the data integration piece. Now I will briefly show you the options section. This ultimately just allows you to further customize what you want your software, your app to look like. So you can set conditions on whether or not you want a screen to be visible to a certain user profile. You can filter out data, sort data. If you want the navigation bar to show a certain way for that particular screen, it kind of gives you all of those options, and you can kind of control that there. Another section that I wanted to cover, if we click on settings, is where the icon for your app lives. And this is something to note. You can update your logo here, the name of how it will appear on your users' devices, a brief description. Something that's important is that you are limited to one main color for Glide. You can choose any color as long as you have the color code, but ultimately you'll have one main color that is like the theme color, and then you have the layout that you can choose from. Again, limited. You have two different ones: style, environment, background. And so like I was saying, this is really great if you're trying to, hit the ground running and you want to create your SaaS business and you want something that is quick, or even just as an MVP, Glide is the tool for you. Or even for an internal solution, something that you don't expect that will expand too much, or maybe you start with Glide and then you expand to a different tool in the future. You can control privacy here. Ultimately, who's allowed to see my app? If you want anyone to see it, you would make it public. If you only want users in your data source and your users table to see it or to be able to sign in, you would select this. You control who can access your app through this privacy section. And then you have users and authentication, sign admin screen, a bunch of other settings that you can go through yourself. But this is kind of the main pieces here that I want to talk about. Is this is where you can customize your icon, and these are the options that you have for the appearance and overall feel of your app, and as well as controlling who can access your app. The next section that I wanted to talk about is action. So obviously everything that we saw with data and layout as it currently is internal and works inside of Glide. But let's say you have a tool that's in your existing workflow that you want to integrate into your software, then you can do that with these actions. Let's say you want to generate a CSV file every time somebody creates a report, or you want to set an automated email every time, or like once a month when you have all of your income for the month and you want to send it to important people. You can do all of that through this, and you can create even more complex workflows if you integrate tools like Zapier and make.com. That will also allow you to do that. So as an example, this is an untitled action called users. I'm not entirely sure. It looks like user interaction with users. You would add a condition here. It looks like this opens a photo, but let's say every single time, if the name is not empty, I want to add a row to my handsomely sleet. That doesn't really do anything. I can get rid of this part here, but when the name is not empty, add a row to this table. So this is ultimately just adding automations into your software and allowing it to supercharge or be supercharged, I guess. This is kind of the custom logic that you can create outside of doing that within your computed columns that you would create inside of your data source itself. So now I wanted to walk you through 2 apps that I've created using the Glide platform, just to give you an idea of how quick and easy it can truly be in order to get started and build something pretty neat and pretty cool. So I created this wedding app. My sister was getting married and it was a wedding abroad. So I figured it'd be really nice to have one place everyone could connect. And so this is the events page. I also made it so that users could create a checklist for different items that they might need for the trip. And this would obviously only be available to the user logged in. She didn't have, oh, okay, I switched my plan. I guess I'm on the starter. Oh, I switched my plan. So that's why you can't see this anymore. But before, this was a jot form and it was linked to Google Drive. So she didn't have a traditional photo booth. So she wanted people to still be able to upload images from the day. And so they were able to do that here. And after uploading, they would all populate here in this gallery for everybody to enjoy. And in addition to that, it would also get uploaded to our Google Drive. And then lastly, there was a chat feature that I created where everybody could talk about what was going on. Where were they at? Where were they having dinner? What time were we meeting for the catamaran or for this? And so we were able to create this within a week or so. It was really, really fun and also a great use case. So some things that I'll point out here. This is a featured events. And so this is just linked to the events table. You have this button that I created that all it does, this is an action that I created. It literally just opens this link. And so it will take you to their honey fund. And this is the checklist, which was linked to Google Sheets. This is the events table, your gallery. The gallery was also linked to Google Sheets because once the media got uploaded to Jotform, it would get uploaded to Google Drive, and then we would pull that back and you would be able to view it within the gallery. The next one that I wanted to cover is this company dashboard, which can be great as an internal solution for your existing business or to start your SaaS business. A lot of the time, businesses have multiple tools, and so this is a really great way to centralize everything and make it very convenient. So for example, you have your homepage here, which is kind of like serves as your dashboard for what's going on the other screens, which I will walk through first, and it'll make make a little bit more sense. So you have your invoices here that you can track. You can manage conversations in this comment section. That way, if you have a question on a particular invoice, you can just go to the comment section and ask it, or you can look at the previous conversation to see why something was done, which ultimately will save you time and energy and increases transparency, which is always amazing. You have this screen here that gives you a way to track whose days are off and whether or not it was approved, which is great. Your assets, who's on your team, and then your wiki, which is kind of like a knowledge base for your company or for your given user's company, depending on if you decide to create this as a SaaS and use a SaaS business model. And then going back to home, you can see here all the different invoices, team approved days off, and then recent updates to wiki pages to kind of give you an overview for what's going on in your company or for your user's company. So this is a really great way to do that. Again, you can modify the components, add, delete, take whatever you want, leave what you want, remove what you don't want. You have your way to kind of customize this. Let's say you want it to look a little bit different. You go up to options, you can change visibility for certain screens. And so the options are really endless here. And this is another great use case for starting your SaaS business. So I really wanted to show you how you can take one of their existing templates that Glide offers and turn it into something that is your own. So if you go down to templates and then you click on visit template store, you will be taken to this page that has all of their different templates: AI Playground, Agency Portal, Attendance Tracker, Art Generator, Audio to Text, Audit Scheduler. I mean, the options are really endless, and all it takes, company CRM, all it takes is to say that you create this app. It will duplicate it into your workspace, copy. And the really nice thing then is that you have a starting point and you can customize it to your liking. Like I mentioned with the other ones, you can, change the color, update. Obviously, you will need to figure out the data and make sure that it's consistent with what you would want. You can add more components, take components away, change the styling if you want it to look a little bit different. Those are all options that you have, contact, staff. And so that's kind of the way to quickly get started on something. So also keep that in mind if you want to just play around with Glide and you don't want to create something from scratch. You can directly just duplicate one of their templates and then kind of go from there. If you liked one of these templates and you wanted a little bit more customization, but you didn't want to do it yourself, or let's say you liked one of the templates that I showed you earlier that I've worked on myself, then make sure you reach out to me and I would be more than happy to help you create your dream SaaS business. That's all I have for you guys today. Make sure you leave any comments, questions, suggestions for new content down in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.